Hi guys, in this video I'll talk to you about Google Search Console. Let's get started. So for today I want to talk about the Yoast SEO Plugin, WooCommerce SEO Plugin, other plugins that are necessary for search engine optimization, and Google Search Console for indexing. Very popular plugin is the Yoast SEO plugin. As we can see on this slide, there are two versions for this SEO plugin. There's the general one for websites like blogs and so on, and there is one for WooCommerce, like e-commerce SEO plugin. The one for WooCommerce is it costs about $55.2. But I believe that the Yoast SEO plugin, the free one, is just fine. However, there are many interesting features when you get the Yoast SEO Premium. So I believe it's always a trade-off on what kind of features you would like to get. There are some alternatives. There is the permalink SEO for WooCommerce if you would like to use this instead of the Yoast for e-commerce. But there are also another alternative that I got to know yesterday. It's called the AIE something SEO. I'll share with you guys. I think I've already talked about it in the in-person class last Tuesday. So that is also another option, free option, that has a lot of features that I liked about it. And it covers a wide array of things that you need to do for the optimizing your site, on-site optimization. So there is also the Permalink Manager. Permalink Manager is a very important tool, I believe, for your e-commerce site. It helps you improve your permalink. Permalink is basically you have the any URL of any page on the internet. You can look at it and split it into two parts. First part is where the domain name is and slash the category and slash then what makes the link unique. So for example, the structure, the website structure for e-commerce could be the different categories, and then under each category you have different product pages. So the links for these product pages will be structured in such a way that it starts with the domain slash the category slash what makes the URL very unique, which is something that has to do with the name of the product. So naming your product and putting the name of your product for each product on each page of your e-commerce, having a very unique product name so that you could use it as a permalink is very important and should be just as descriptive. Recommended for SEO is also Perfect WooCommerce Brands. Why do I recommend that? Because there are certain errors that the Google Console had. I had experienced certain errors with Google Console about certain snippets that are not available, like your brand name is not configured, or it depends on your theme, in fact. So the theme that I was using at that time for that website does not, in its structure, in its HTML structure, is missing the identifier, the brand identifier. For this purpose, I had to, and Google Console as a tool helps me improve my site because it told me that you're missing a brand identifier. And I was like, what is a brand identifier? So then I looked into it and searched on Google, and then I was able to get this plugin so that I could fix the problem, and I will show you how to tell Google that I fixed the problem. Could you take a look and scroll again and see if I still have this problem? So definitely everyone is different. This definitely for sure everyone is different. So it depends on different things. Mainly it depends, this kind of error that there's no brand identifier depends on the theme that you're using. Okay. So over here also, with this plugin, if you got this problem, Like if you, I will show you in this video series how to log into Google Console and get your property connected to Google Console and all that. Now, if after Google visits your site, if Google tells you that this is a problem, and I'm going to show you on the interface which report will actually help you identify certain problems to fix them. If you get this problem, which is the brand identifier, then you just need to go to WooCommerce, go to settings. You will find here that this plugin has enabled you to get show brand in single product and show brand link, brand position before title, save changes, make sure everything goes well. Use this plugin. Look how many stars it got. It's an amazing plugin. It helps you with the brands also over here. You go to the brand tab and fix everything, and you will be fine. Also, you can add it as a global identifier. No. There's also another error that I received myself, was a global identifier, GT, was missing. So a brand identifier was missing on my site, and it's an e-commerce site, so brand is very important. And also a global identifier, GTIN, which is like the SKU, kind of unique identifier for the products. So the Google search engine is trying to protect the public from fraud kind of e-commerce sites. So this is also another problem. So in here, I was able to also solve this problem by searching on the internet, on the forums, getting as much information as possible. And I got this code that I needed to add to my site. You need to go to Appearance. You need to go to your edit theme under Appearance on WordPress if you're using WordPress as an e-commercer. So you go to Appearance, you go to Edit Theme, and over there you can get into the code of the theme. So you can add such a global identifier there. And this will, in fact, get rid of the problem. It got rid of the problem for me. So you can put your brand name here. Instead of Cat's Botanical, you actually put in your name, your brand name, if you want. And if you don't want to go through the plugin. Or if you are a web developer and you really need to optimize your site for digital marketing purposes. So also, this is one of the things you can do, which is adding this code into the HTML. Possible warnings with the new websites. I also got these warnings. The aggregate ranking field is recommended. The site was still new. I didn't launch the site, so I did not have any customer reviews, and because of that, of course, I don't have any ratings like from customer reviews. And this is why I'm telling you, nowadays it's very important that you use themes to develop your site. With the themes, they also know that it is very important for your site from the digital marketing perspective to enable customers to add reviews. So you need to have within your theme, if it's a respectful theme, to have customers channel out there or write their reviews through your site. Description field is recommended. So this is before I connected to Google Console, before I started working with my Yoast. Review. I'm going to talk about description and title in due course in the future classes. Review. The review field is recommended. Also here, customers' reviews and ratings were not available for the products. How do you sign up for Google Console? First of all, go visit Google Console. Just search Google Console tool or log into Google Console. You will be viewed with this interface. Either you can log in through your domain or URL. I usually go with the URL, or the domain is good actually. You can do that. And here's the summary of the process. From my experiences, what I do. I close all my Chrome and browser pages. Then I log into the browser by my business email. Of course, usually you have your own Gmail account that you use for your browser as a person and not as a business. So if you log in to Google Console with your personal email, your personal Gmail, then the website will be connected to your personal Gmail, and this is not professional. I always tell my students in the entrepreneurial strategy course to uh, create a business email account so that you can connect this business email account to your Google Console, right? So please log out or close all your browsers, then make sure that you already have an email account for your business, a Gmail account, and get your Google Search Console token as logged in into your business email account. Where do you get it? When you put your business address over here, when you hit continue, the system will give you a token, and it's an API. So what you need to do is you copy this token and go to your control panel on your hosting service, go to domains, and go to your DNS zone. So you go to your hosting service, go under domains. Maybe you need to go to the advanced settings or something like that, and from there you can go to domains and then get the DNS zone. With the DNS zone, what you need to do is add the token to your TXT DNS. So in some hosting services, they might have tabs of TXT or different other forms, or a drop-down menu. So whatever it is, either tabs or drop-down menu, depending on your hosting service, please use the TXT. All right, and then go back to your Google Search Console and verify your property. So you got a token, you added the token into your domain DNS zone, and then what happens is you go back to your Google Console interface and verify. Once you verified, gives you that you're verified, download the Yoast free plugin to your WordPress account. So here's the steps on SiteGround, for example. You go to the dashboard on the C panel, you go to under domain, you go to DNS zone editor, and then you go to the TXT. Here it could be in terms of tabs, or sometimes in other hosting services it can be a drop-down menu. So choose the TXT and then add your token here in this value and create. You know what happens? In the DNS records, you will get the TXT type kind of record and the name of your business and the value of it. Yeah, I should be hiding this. Verify ownership. Once this is the Google Console account. Once in the settings, ownership verification here is checked in green, so I am a verified owner now with my Gmail business account, not my personal Gmail account. Download the Yoast plugin. You need the Yoast plugin for two things, very important things. As I explained in the previous video, what happens is the search engine gets the relevant pages, gets the ranking done, and then it's going to put it in a certain organization, a certain way to display it. The certain way I have seen with you that it includes the title, a list of the title of the page, and a little snippet of the description of your page or website. So with Yoast plugin, if you're using WordPress, you will be able to optimize that title and the description so that it's easily pulled out and used by the Google search engine for display. There is no 100% guarantee that Google will use that description as is, but most of the time it will. But sometimes it will, to help you, makes it more relevant to the search term, and it might make some changes to it. But in most cases, it will use the description that you are going to feed into the Yoast plugin. This is one of the things that you need Yoast Plugin, the minimum that you need Yoast Plugin for. Second thing that you need is for the XML sitemap. So now that you connected your property, your digital property, your e-commerce site, let's say, to your Google console, what you needed to do is you need to create an XML sitemap. But before I do that, let me just talk to you a little bit about the interface of Google Console. So there is the side menu here of Google Console will show your business name. And this is, I think, before I added a logo even to my site. So an overview, performance report, a URL inspection. This URL inspection is very important. Then we have the coverage report, and we have the sitemaps and removals. Then we have speed, mobility, or mobile usability, sorry, and the breadcrumbs and products and site links and all that. Let's take a look. URL inspection is very important. Why? Because it allows you to check how Google index your sites or how Google Index sees your site. Use this to troubleshoot if your page is not appearing on Google search engine for any reason. And you can check for possible errors that reported on the URL inspector. The coverage report is very important because it presents an overview of all the pages on your site that Google bots try to crawl and index, along with any issues they encountered along the way. So you can check also the slides for the coverage reports over here. The XML sitemap is important also to submit to Google Console, and also there are some subsequent slides that are relevant to this topic, and I will go over them right now. Let's take a look at the URL inspection. URL inspection is important because it talks about speed here. Core Web Vitals. This is like a transition kind of period. And the transition kind of period, when you're just logged in, you might notice differences here. Under the enhancements, you might have the Core Web Vitals or the Speed Experimental. Request indexing with the URL inspection. This is one of the things I wanted to also talk to you about it. In the previous video, I talked about indexing. So you want to request Google to index your site. How do you do that? You go to the URL inspection. With the URL inspection, you can get your site indexed or crawled, or you can request indexing. So if you made any changes to your site and you would like to request indexing your site again, you can just, here, do you see what Google says? Page, it changed. Page, it changed. Like you changed a certain page or certain pages are changed. Request indexing. You see, guys, in the previous video, I showed you some tweets and all that until even 2019. And then recently, some people are lost with this idea that they need to do something with the code like last mod and all that. But in fact, you don't need to. If you just keep a close eyes and really look very carefully around the options available in Google Console. And I know that I forgive them because I myself, sometimes I'm using so many different tools, digital marketing tools, including the Google tools, webmaster tools, I still call them. It is difficult to keep track. It is really difficult, especially if it's not my full-time job and I have other things to do. So I can understand why people might get confused. But hopefully here, in fact, teaching this stuff helps me keep track with things because I like to prep very detailed slides. And this is why I don't lose track of any little details because I always focus on things and how do I explain this slide or how do I explain this screenshot. So over here, hopefully my students won't be lost. If any of the pages just changed, request indexing. The coverage report seems like I am fine right now. Mobile usability seems like I am fine. Site links, I am fine. I haven't been that much fine before I fix the problems. I have to go through a period of fixing problems, and it's time. It's a time game. It's always a time game in my life that you really need the time to look up the problems and fix them. It takes time. But with experience, of course, if you do multiple projects and multiple sites, you build the experience. And once you build the experience, if you don't keep notes, this is a big problem. So this is why I like to teach. Teaching helps me keep notes because I improve my slides. The slides start with 30 slides, then they grow to 50 next year, then the year after 60, year after 70, and so on, because the more projects I do, the more notes I keep, and the best way to keep them is to share them with my students. So over here, keep notes of the errors and how you fix them, because you might forget. You don't do this every day. Yeah, you do it maybe once every 2-3 years once you launch a website, unless you are a consultant. If you're a consultant, also do not rely heavily on your memory. Why? Because in the future, when you make a manager, you need to train other people. Best way to keep a training material, because otherwise these little trainees will bug you every 5 minutes. From experience, they will. It's bugging you, but it's your job, and you need to always be cheerful, encourage them, motivate them as a leader. You can't do that if you are stressed out and they are always coming to ask you questions and intervening or interrupting your schedule. So my advice to you guys, even if you are a small intern or a small officer right now and you cannot foresee the future, always put everything in a slide set or in a Word document with certain screen snippets so that you can follow along with it very easily. And if you have to train somebody, you have a training material. Check the training material first. If you don't have your answer there, come ask me. If the person comes ask you and it's a new problem, then you're learning as well. Okay. Possible errors and suggested plugins. I had also, almost all websites will have this happening, which is images is in next generation formats. Nowadays, Google loves images to be formatted in a next gen formats. There are certain plugins, but it's expensive. So SEO is not cheap. Digital marketing is no longer that cheap. SEO is not cheap. It needs a budget. The more images you use, the bigger your site is, the more quota you need. They work with the credits. They call it the credits. The ones that I know, the certain plugins, they work with the credits. So you need to buy certain credits, and you redeem these credits with every image you add to your site or with every image you optimize. Differ off-screen images. Also, there's a plugin for that. Eliminate render blocking resources. Also, there's a plugin for that. So if you pay for SG Optimizer, this is something also available on multiple hosting services. It's for speed. SG Optimizer. No, actually, this is SiteGround Optimizer. So SiteGround in particular has come up with, I think, some hosting service. Every hosting service comes with some kind of speed optimizer, or SG, they call it here, SiteGround SG Optimizer. It's just SiteGround specific. Your site will be optimized and these plugins will be deactivated. But keep your cost low by taking advantage of the free plugins. These are free plugins, most of them up to a certain point. So you can use the free plugin first, and then you can use it as a paid plugin. I think I faced some problem with SiteGround, so I needed to deactivate my SG Optimizer to get advantage of these plugins and then reactivated it again. So maybe this took me quite a while to figure out what the problem were, that the plugins are not working the right way or whatever. Or these plugins are actually asking me, if I remember correctly, I already forgot, if I remember correctly, the plugins are telling me to switch off the SG Optimizer. So I had to do that for a while until I got everything done correctly and nicely. Images in next-gen formats. This is a snapshot of what the URL inspector will give to you. Maybe I should show you. How about I show you how to do this? Let me just log into my Google console. The second time I'm logging to Google Search Console, not a cloud. Wait a minute. No. Wait. Google Search Console. I want Google Search Console. Excuse me, I'm trying to log in as a business account. Okay, I need to actually be browsing as a guest. I'm going to show you what's. Let me log into Google Search Console. Let me log into Google Search Console in English. Okay. Right now I'm logging in with my business account, and I'm logging into the browser where I am a guest. Okay. Okay, so now I'm going to share the screen with you. Okay, so now the screen is shared. I want to show you something that has happened. Oh, okay. So over here, this is me, personal me, and I'm trying to get into Google Search Console as a business, and yet it's giving me trouble. Now I started a new, I went, let me show you. You go into your logged in account here on the browser, you log in as a guest, and then over here as a guest, you log into your Google console as a business, and everything goes well. If you remember, this is the first time ever that you are using Google Console. It will tell you that you need to actually give for example, the site, which is www, let's say cutebabyshop.biz, and then you continue. And then, yeah, this is done already and verified already. So, yeah, so I can just go and browse Google Console, but I cannot still. I don't know why. I just need to be on a separate browser here and be logged into my business account. Then I will get my Google Console, Search Console account easily. Okay, let's take a look at my account. My account is not very impressive because I haven't been doing any activities on this account at all. You can tell I'm not having that many search clicks into the site. It's not an active site. In fact, I'm not selling anything yet on the site. It's just for demonstration purposes for my classes. So let's talk about the URL inspector. With the URL inspector, basically you have to put your URL over here, www.cutebabyshop. This is some of the things that I don't put very clearly in the slides, so the video comes very handy. So the URL is not on Google. Oh, HTTPS maybe. I'm sorry. Yeah. Wait a minute. Let's see. I haven't logged into this account in a while. Let me put HTTPS www.cutebabyshop.biz. You see? So I need the HTTPS, and S is security, secure connection. It's because I have an SSL certificate on my e-commerce site. So the URL is on Google. It's been indexed. And if I have done any changes or added any product pages, then I will request indexing over here. And this is the test live URL. You can actually test it. This might take a minute or two. I probably should have ran it before the class. Okay, it might take a while, so I'm just going to go ahead and switch to the slides and come back to visit this later. All right, let me just go back to the PowerPoint. All right. So here we have the different plugins that could help you with the next-gen formats. And this is for differing off-screen images. I like this Smoosh or MUCH. It has it allows you to do so many things. It has very high reviews, as you can see, thousands and thousands of reviews, and it helps you with so many things. Okay, eliminate render blocking resources. You can use either one of these plugins. This is suggested because it has the highest reviews, the highest ratings. And in summary, if you're fixing anything suggested by Google, please keep records of that, because Google will remember you, but you won't remember the fixes over time, especially if you're a consultant. So that if you are prep a list of things and plugins and things that you need to do and optimize for new sites before you launch them, so that Google will know that you're a good consultant. You've done the job right. Google's not happy detecting errors and delaying itself, sending you a report of errors. Google will appreciate it if this site is already optimized, there's not that much errors, you get off on a very good start with Google. Coverage report is the second thing I would like to talk about here. But let me check a little bit the site. Oh yeah, you know what happened? I'm going to show you what happened. I worked really hard on my site so that, let me see, no, yeah. Oh. I'm trying to show you what's happening. It's not going up though. Seems like it's been about 30 minutes for this video. So I'm going to just stop recording right now, and I will see you in the next video, guys.